South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you to everybody who has served and sacrificed. I'm Alex White. It is time for Sports by the Book, live from the South Point studio. Special shout out to our crew today, Andrew, Ryan, and Vince behind the glass. We appreciate all that you do. Please get the chat going. We'd like to hear from you guys. Any big surprises from this weekend, college football or NFL? Let me bring in the co-host, Mr. Kenny White, Wizard of Odds, professional sports bettor. How are you today? Any big surprises for you in football this weekend?
Well, good morning, Alex. That's a good question. There are so many sports going on right now. Surprises to me. BYU winning again, and I had just heard. I don't watch these games, so I didn't watch one college game this weekend, and I heard that it looked like it was over. Fourth and long, and there was a penalty called on Utah. After it looked like the play was over and almost Utah's offense is running on the field, they found a flag on the field somewhere, and it was defensive holding against Utah. It gave BYU a first down, and they went down and they kick a field goal, and they won the game. So if that's the way it ended, a little suspicious. Obviously, the conference would love to have an undefeated team with a bye going into the Final Four. There's no doubt about that.
Well, so BYU, they did get the win. Miami did go down, though. You had been talking about that one. I want to bring up the Chiefs because I feel the same way about the Chiefs that you do about BYU. They are just begging to get beat at this point. I think they have Buffalo next this weekend.
They've set 2 NFL records. They've trailed at half. The last 7 times they've trailed at the half, they won. The last 7 times they've trailed by 7 or more, they've won. That's an NFL record. No team has ever done that before. That's the first time a team has done that. So then they find new ways to win. They blocked a punt yesterday to win the game. So it's amazing. Did help me. I had a teaser, Kansas City and San Francisco. So I was expecting both teams to win. And it's against another reason not to bet favorites because they don't really care if they cover the spread. They just care if they win. The favorite numbers are starting to come down a little bit.
Yes. A lot of dogs yesterday.
A lot of dogs. I have 8-3 and only counting the games of a dog plus 3 or more, or a favorite minus 3 or more. Those favorites were 3 and 8. And on the year now, favorites of 3 or more are 53 and 49. So if you bet every one of them, you're down a unit right now for the year. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. You can bet every game, every favorite, 3 or more, and you're down just 1 unit after all of those games. So That's going to change, though. It went from 55% favorites covering. Now it's down to about 53% or 52, and that's going to drop. That's going to drop below 500 at one point because we're getting to the point of the season where weather dictates a lot of these games as well, and dogs have a little bit more of an advantage.
I believe it was the Eagles, the Lions, and the Chargers that were the three that covered. Does that sound right?
Yeah. That's the three. No, Lions were not. Lions
were not. They were very fortunate in their win as well. You're right.
They were not one of the three that covered.
Well,
you got me.
And then, of course, those two close games, Arizona and the Bears were not included, and Pittsburgh and the Commanders. That was a great game that came down to the very end.
Bills covered.
Bills, yeah. Bills. Oh, no, I don't know what the other big one is because we're not counting
Bills,
the
Chargers, and Eagles.
Okay, there it is. Yes.
Bills, Chargers, Eagles.
Yes, thank you. Bills are playing really
right
good.
In alphabetical order for you.
We do have one more game tonight, though. We have the Miami Dolphins and the LA Rams. We will get into that. That's really it for our recap. We will get into some NBA, NHL, college basketball. How are those sports for you this weekend?
NBA was very, very good. Yeah, I didn't even know, but one of my clients said, "Hey, great day in the NBA." I didn't look because I'm betting them all very small. I make my numbers. I see the differences. We make the bets, and I get out. And a lot of the bets I don't even see, like the FCS. I don't see them, and the college basketball until after the day's over sometimes. And I didn't even look, and I went back and looked, and 6-0 on NBA totals.
Wow.
Which makes me feel really good because I changed the way I'm adjusting sides and totals this year. I'll share that with you, the way I've done it. And I'm doing it in college basketball the same way I'm doing with the NBA right now, which gives me a good feeling that college basketball totals will be ready to be bet fairly soon.
Very good.
Sooner than I thought they would have been. So if the NBA totals continue to go this well, I know what I'm doing is it works.
No real big games in college basketball today. We don't have any ranked matchups. Really, still those cupcake games for these good teams. There was a big upset over the weekend. Auburn did beat Houston. And then I know coming up this week or relatively soon, Auburn will face Iowa State. I am looking forward to that game. That should be a really good one. But yeah.
So you don't like Florida Grambling today? That's not a bad one. And Maryland, Florida A&M. It's another big matchup on the board. I saw another one. Virginia and Coppin State. Rivals.
Okay. Well,
for Coppin State it is.
Well, let's talk about the NFL game we have tonight. Miami Dolphins and the Los Angeles Rams. Really, that division for the Rams now, CMC comes back for the Niners. They do get the win. They did not cover. You already mentioned that. And the Cardinals are playing very good football right now. So this is a tough game for the Rams here. Of course, we do have Tua back. Tyreek Hill, though, is a game-time decision. Wrist injury. I do believe he will play in this one. Here at the South Point, Rams -2.5 at home, and the total 48.5. I heard your show, listened to it this morning, Bet the Gambit. You were making a case for the over. I was kind of hoping you were going to make a case for the under. That's the way I was looking at it with my numbers as well, but you brought up some good points. So let's dive into this game here with the Dolphins and the Rams.
Both teams have better offenses than their defense, so my number says under it leans to the under at 45.5. And this number was bet to as high as 50.5. I saw it one time, now down to 48.5. Always like to double check and make sure where we're at the South Point, because we are at the South Point, the South Point Studios, 48.5. South Point opened this game 50.5. So it was bet up early in the week. Or open 50.5, now bet down to 48.5. But the only thing that says under to me is the trend of Sean McVay at home. He's 33-21 in his career, under 33-21 under, up 10 units in 7+ years in his home game. So he's in that coaching tree of Belichick and Reed that to pass early to get the lead and run late to run the clock out and strangle the opponent. And that works. And it's worked for some really good organizations. So looks like Miami does the same. Their head coach, Mike McDaniel, is a big under guy at home, 12-5 under, but on the road, 14-9 to the over. But with these two teams and these two quarterbacks, to me, I think I've over-adjusted Miami down because of how poorly they played without Tua. Their median score without Tua, 11-20. They were outscored 20-11. 11 points on offense without Tua. I can add them in my head right here. They scored 40 points in 4 games. The average is 10 points per game. With Tua, they put up 27, a lowly 10 against Buffalo in the game he got hurt and didn't finish, and 20 before that. But the median 23.5 points per game with Tua compared to without is a big, big difference. For some reason, they give up more points when Tua's the quarterback.
Yes.
Maybe because they scored faster, but without Tua, they allowed on median 20 points, with him 29 points. So 52.5. And then the Ram games, are tough to really get a good hold on. Overall, the entire season, the Rams have been outscored 24-20 median numbers. But if you only took the first 2 games and the last 2 games, their average is 23, and they allow 23. It's 46 points, a little bit higher. I did that because that's Puka and Cooper Kupp that they played in those 4 games.
So I wanted to make the case that Miami's defense was underrated because of those games when Tua was not in it, and they were very low-scoring games. Now, they didn't play the toughest schedule, so that might have something to do with it as well. But you said their defense was ranked in the 20s or something?
21.
21.
I've got them 21st in the NFL. Well, when you look, they're allowing 26 points per game overall. The defense is rather slightly below average. And let me tell you this, strength of schedule, 28th in the NFL.
I do believe that.
So they haven't played a good schedule. The Rams have played the 6th most difficult schedule in the NFL so far. So that's a football team that's played a good schedule. Coaching advantage to Sean McVay. He's been around longer, even though Mike McDaniel is a spread cover coach, and that's very important because they're overachieving when they cover spreads. He is 23-18 in his career, 23-18. So, barely above 500, but he is, as Sean McVay, 55-50 in his career as head coach of the Rams.
Dolphins come into this game just 2-6. It is a very disappointing season for them, of course, with the Tua injury that kind of, set them back. So they are dead last right now in the AFC East. With Buffalo has a strong lead, they're 8-2. And then as I was brought up about the Rams, they're third right now in the NFC West, 4-4. Seahawks are right behind them at 4-5, and then the Niners are 5-4, and the Arizona Cardinals are 6-4. I know that was Ryan's sleeper team this year going into the season. So it's a must win for both. I mean, especially the Dolphins at this point at 2-6.
Yeah, Arizona got better because Cliff Kingsbury is not there. That's one of the biggest factors. And their defense has played much, much better this year. So, and Kyler Murray, another year removed from his injury, that he's more closer to 100%. I've always liked Arizona's roster. It's just Cliff Kingsbury, I just thought really underachieved as a head coach.
Yeah, good coordinator.
Great coordinator. Great coordinator, but to move from coordinator to NFL, I thought was a tough jump. So my team rankings or position rankings, Miami 13th best offense, 21 on defense, 18th overall, 101 rating. They've only performed to a 98 though, and they're only a 98.5 in Tua's games. So it wasn't like they've really overperformed. Their best game of the year was without Tua when they beat the Patriots 15-10, and they lost the turnover battle by 2. The Rams, 10th best offense, 16 on defense, 19th overall. Obviously, those are probably just barely on the cusp of those rankings of barely being ranked that high, like tenths of a point, because they 19th overall tells me that they're barely hanging on there in the offense-defense categories. They're a 100 rating, performance 98.5. These teams have performed about equal.
Yep.
I think they're pretty equal teams. I have Miami a point better, so I don't have much home, and you can't get much home in the NFL anymore. So a lot of people like the Rams because they've won 3 in a row, but I think the Miami Dolphins have their backs to the wall at 2-6. This is like the must win. There's still 9 games left in the season.
Right.
And they have a fairly easy schedule to finish it out as well. So they need this game tonight, and they're playing in front of the league. But I wish I was getting 3. I would love to take 3 with Miami. Don't think that'll ever happen, though.
No, I don't think we will see a 3. Maybe we could.
Well, there is 2.5s. I shouldn't say that. There are 2.5s in the market.
Same game teaser. We can tease them up.
Yeah, but I don't know what to do with the total. Like I said, I think my under-over number on Miami is too low, and I should adjust that. And if I did, I'm going to be right around the total of 48.5. These teams just look like over teams to me, but when you look at the ATS stuff for the year, they're really not.
No, but they do play relatively quickly. The Rams 11th quickest, Dolphins 15th quickest, and then we know that the Rams, they're passing 58% of the time. I know you talked about Stafford's passing yards as well earlier. So, but if we bring that total down to 42.5, we could go over that and take 8.5 with the Dolphins.
I do like that. And, I worry about games like this that could start like Thursday night's game. Cincinnati and Baltimore, we knew was a dead over. And it's 7-7. It looks like it's going to be 7-7 at halftime. Are you kidding me? I'm doing the math in my head. I need 39 points in the second half to win this bet. And Cincinnati gets a touchdown and at least makes it 14-10 at half. I said, wow, now I got a much better shot of getting it over because the second half line came out 27. I only need 33. So just one more score over that total was great. This game, I feel like could start the same way. I think there's a great edge for in-game tonight on this game because I think it's such a close game. Both teams need the game badly. As the Rams, even though they're 4-4 compared to 2-6, the Rams need it badly. They need a win. They're in third place. Right. They're in third place, so they know they have to win. They don't want to be tied for last place. So this is a big game. Both teams play good. I think that if somebody gets a lead of 10 points or more, you could bet the other team because I think they're coming back with these two quarterbacks. As long as two is healthy and he's in the game. If he gets hurt, all bets off. But if he's okay, he'll lead his team down to get him back in the game, same as Matthew Stafford. If he's trailing, he's going to lead his team back down the field and get him back in the game. And that's why I kind of lean to the over because these two quarterbacks are so accurate. And with great weapons, they can score. Here's Matthew Stafford's stats. When he only has Cooper Kupp, or he has neither guy, Puka or Cooper, 19 for 27, 1 interception, 221 on the yards, no touchdowns. That's what he's going to do if he doesn't have those guys at receiver. But when he has both Puka and Cooper at receiver, 25 for 44. Sean McVay is willing to throw it all over the field when he has both guys in the lineup, and they're both in tonight. 298 yards, 2 touchdown passes. That's what I feel like that's what you're going to get out of Matthew Stafford tonight. He's going to throw for close to 300 yards. He's going to throw a couple touchdowns, and Tua's going to have a big game as well.
Coming off a really good game against the Bills. They were in that game till the very end. I believe the final was 30-27, something.
Yeah, it was 30-27. They lost Arizona by 1 at home, 28-27 the game before that, and Tua's return.
Yes.
So they've lost some close games. They lost by 6 to Indianapolis. The other losses were blowouts, so you really can't look at those.
No Tua in those ones, though.
No Tua, yeah. I worry about will Miami be tired here? Now, they do have the extra day playing on Monday night, but they had the off week. They flew to Indianapolis, fly home, play Arizona, and then fly to Buffalo, and then fly home, and now fly out west. So 3 of their last 4 games on the road.
3 of the last 4 on the road, and those last 2 losses were at the last minute in the fourth quarter. So also pretty devastating. And
hanging around like I think this game could be. And I look at those scores, and I feel like tonight's game could be a 28-27, 30-27 game in that range. So Cooper Kupp, I have 8 for 77.5. Puka 6.5 catches, 75 yards.
Okay,
are my projections.
So might be able to look
guys.
For Cooper Kupp receptions going over.
Yeah, I would really look for that. And even though Puka's back, Cooper Kupp's still going to get targeted 11 times, and that guy gets such great hands. He's going to catch 8 passes.
And he actually was ejected from the last game. So he will be ready to go tonight and on his best behavior. I'm going to put in that same game teaser as well. And, of course, look for in-game opportunities. If either team goes down, you can jump in, grab some more points with the opposing team. Expecting a tight game down to the end. If you want more on this game, come back to Sports by the Book, 3 p.m. today. Jeff Parles and Ryan McCormick will go through this game in detail, and they have been red hot with anytime touchdown props and a lot of other really good player props. So make sure you come back 3 p.m., this same exact YouTube channel. Let's go to NBA. We're going to start this off because we have not revealed any of our top 10s yet in NBA and NHL. And remember, it's still early in the season, and these are a work in progress. But we do have your NBA top 10 as of right now. So we're going to put that on the screen just so people can see it. Today's hoops. Here we go. We're going to go NBA, and then we'll go college basketball, a little bit of hockey, few games on the board tonight. Probably really just talk about the Vegas Golden Knights game, if anything. But here we go. Kenny White's top 10 NBA as of today. Now,
Injuries are also factored into this, guys that are out. Celtics, I have number 1 in the NBA. And they've got Porzingis out. It would add 2 more points to their power rating. They would become the top team they're only a half point right now. They would be 2.5 points better than Oklahoma City. Now, Oklahoma City has Holmgren out now. And I was very shocked at how much this young man has progressed in the NBA in such a short time. He is one of the best defensive centers in the NBA and can score. He's worth 6 points to the betting line, and he's out tonight, and we'll talk about that game.
Just out tonight? This is
just out tonight. Well, as far as I know.
Okay.
As far as I know, I'll have to double check further and see how if the injury's keeping out longer. I just adjusted it today's game when I was going over the games before I sent out my information, and when he was out, I had to go look, see what he's worth. So in my ratings, Oklahoma City's number 2 with Chet Holmgren in the lineup.
Okay.
Cleveland Cavaliers, 106.5 is the number 3 team in the NBA. The Golden State Warriors. Now, I'm looking at my number, and I have Curry an out number, and I don't think that's correct. I think that 105.5 is with him as an in number. I would not have them the top team, even though they're playing great basketball. Just beat Boston, and I think they beat Cleveland, too. They either beat Cleveland or they took them down to the wire. They're in their last game. The Knicks. I have the 5th best team in the NBA. That's maybe a team to take a look at, even though they're playing with the Boston Celtics, an injury by the Celtics, and the Knicks continue to improve, and they could be the best team in the East. Well, you have the Cavaliers as well. So it is pretty much a 3-team race, I think, between those teams. And when Joel Embiid gets back, the Sixers will throw their hat into the mix. And they're not in my top 10, the Sixers, because they have Tyrese Maxey and Embiid out. That's 8.5 points. If I added that back on, they'd be a 106 rating. I would have the Sixers the 4th best team. So when we're looking at my top 10, it's what is being put on the court right now today. And I shouldn't say that because Oklahoma City's without Holmgren tonight. Dallas is tied for 5th with the Knicks. Sacramento Kings, very good basketball team, number 7. I have the Rockets at number 8. Minnesota Timberwolves at 9, and the Lakers have moved up in my ratings. They are now number 9. They're playing good. They've got a good nucleus. As long as they stay healthy, it's a good basketball team.
Somebody just wrote in the chat. I just happened to pull it up and said out for 2 months.
2 months. Oh boy.
Hopefully that is not about. It is.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how next man up, if they can keep them.
That's no
top of the West.
No next man up for them without Chet Holmgren. That would drop them about 8th or 9th best team in the NBA. That's how good he has played this year. They're going to have to bring somebody else in because they don't have a really deep rotation in the power forward and center slot. They've got more small forward, shooting guards, point guards.
Yeah. Interesting. So Golden State might be a team that we can look at from the West too. I'm sure that they are up there though as a favorite.
A lot of talk about Steph Curry. I guess his number at one point was 150-1 to win the MVP, which sounds ridiculous to me, but I guess you can still get 50-1 on Steph Curry to win the MVP.
50-1.
There are a lot of great players when you're looking at Jokic with Denver. And, well, Embiid may be taking himself out of that voting by not playing right now. But when he gets back, maybe he runs out 70 games at the end of the year. There's another, great player that could win it. I think Wembanyama could win it for the Spurs. I think he's that good. We'll see what he does for the full year. But so Steph Curry, though, putting his name in the ring there for MVP because he's playing great. And we got Doncic, another great player.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really amazed this year when I go through some of these injuries and I find these star players when they could be out, because Luka could have been missed yesterday. He was questionable. So then I got to go back and look and see how many points I've got him rated. I'm like, wow. Their backups are so bad. He's worth 8 points to the betting line. He's not 8 points better than the average NBA player, but he's worth 8 points because their backups are bad. The same with the Lakers and Davis. And Davis missed a game this past week, and they got crushed. If Anthony Davis misses a game,
he is so huge
the Lakers have nobody in the paint. LeBron has to play center, and he can, but that's not what he wants to do. So Rui Hachimura might have to play center, and he's not even a power forward. So that the Lakers are in bad shape when Anthony Davis doesn't play. Dallas will be in bad shape when Doncic doesn't play. And this is a league that I've always said for years, when a star player's out, everybody else steps up.
Right.
But these are cases where I kind of feel like there is no backup, and it's worth that much.
Well, we saw with Dallas last year in the playoffs. I mean, they relied on Luka so much.
Yeah.
And he couldn't do it by himself. And Kyrie was kind of hit or miss in that series. So you also were talking about the Knicks, and Brunson was right there for MVP all the way down to the end last year in that race as well. So he's a big part of that team. Let's go to tonight's games, though. You brought up the Thunder. Now we have a player out. Let's see what the current line is here. The Clippers on the road here at the South Point. Still, the Thunder -6.5 at home, and the total 218.5.
And a player like Holmgren, I took off 5 points off the betting line. I got to make that adjustment. I didn't want to take off the full 6, and I added to their over/under. Because he's such a great defensive player, they're actually going to play higher scoring games now since he's out. They just won't have the rim protector. Jalen Williams is a great player on the inside as a power forward, but he's more of the scorer. So I think you're going to see a lot of high scoring games from Oklahoma City coming up. Tonight I made Oklahoma City 6 and 217.5. And that number was 8, bet down to 6.5, right where I'm at. Total 218.5.
So maybe a little bit of a lean to the over there, or maybe we can wait and see.
Well, I only made it 217.5. The Clippers are not a very high-scoring team. So when the Thunder play somebody who can really score, then it's going to be a really good over. But the Clippers are holding this total down because they're one of my lower-scoring teams in the NBA right now.
Let's go to the New Orleans Pelicans hosting Brooklyn. Brooklyn -1.5, total 210.5. Any news or anybody out for this game?
Yeah, well, Ben Simmons will be in for the Nets, and not a huge factor, but a 1.5 guy. For New Orleans, though, Zion's out, 4.5 point player. DeJounte Murray's still out for this team, and C.J. McCollum. So they got 3 starters out, also missing Jordan Hawkins and Herb Jones. Herb Jones is a starter. So 4 starters out of the lineup. I made Brooklyn a 5-point favorite here, 202.5. Brooklyn opened up 1. Let's look here at the South Point. They are 1.5 currently. And so I like the Nets. Put me down for the Nets. Lay the 1.5. They're the better basketball team. Stay by the mic. I know, Ryan, I got you. And then under. I made it 202. This total opened to 12.5 here at the South Point, down to 211.
So the market is going in your direction.
Missing a ton of firepower without 4 starters, all good scorers. Herb Jones, a great defensive player, but Williamson, McCollum, and Murray are more well known for their offensive prowess than their defense. So, yeah, this is a very low scoring basketball game. So, yeah, I like the Pelicans. Sorry, skip that. The Nets. I like the Nets, not the Pelicans. The Nets and the under.
So it looks like the market is with you here with the Houston Rockets. They are 6-4 on the year. Wizards just 2-6 going to their matchup today. Houston -13 and the total 228.
Yeah, no real injuries. Kyle Kuzma will return for Washington tonight. I only have him worth a point to the betting line, though. And I have Houston 12.5, 221. So we're pretty much pretty close there. I do like the game under. South Point opened 226.5. Chris and team must like it under themselves because they opened this lower than the market, and now it's up to 228 here. This is the highest in the market now. So they opened the lowest in the market, and now they're the highest in the market. I like it under, though. That's a lot of points. Houston defense, 109.6 points per possession allowed, or per 100 possessions allowed, is one of the top defenses in the NBA, and their pace of 97 is rather slow. And see, this is how you have to keep track of things. When you're coming into the year, the new head coach for the Brooklyn Nets, I'm moving back a game now, Jordi Fernandez. We want to run. I want to play up tempo. All these coaches say that, and when they have a bad team, they play it for 2 games and they get blown out by 30, and then they realize we can't run because we don't have the talent to. Their pace is a 97, one of the slower in the NBA. The game before that, the Clippers, 96.7, and that's why I can't go over in that Thunder game, because the Clippers' pace is so slow that it will hinder getting that over. The Nets pace slow, and that's why we got it under. But the Rockets, a very slow basketball team, and that's why I do like this under, because of their defense and the pace.
So we've got 2 under so far. What is the pace of the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers? They are 11-0, going to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Pretty big favorite in this one. 8 points on the road, 237.
And I made them 9.5, 236. In this game. So I'm right there with the total. I guess I'm right there with the side, maybe a little bit of a lean. South Point opened 7.5, bet up to 8. You want to know the pace. They're an even 100.2. The Chicago Bulls are one of the faster teams in the NBA, 104.3. They love to run. They get up and down, but they're a very horrible offensive team. 110 points per 100 possessions. I guess that's maybe right around average, maybe slightly below average. Cleveland, 122, one of the top offensive teams in the NBA. They've really figured it out. They've got a great system, and that's why they're putting up points aplenty. I'm projecting them for 122 points in this game. And after we're done, I'm going to go through and give you the second half ATS over-under stuff maybe you could use to make a bet tonight.
Perfect. Okay, so we just have one more. Sacramento Kings and the Spurs. Spurs getting 1 point, and the total is 221.
I made the Spurs the favorite, 1.5. I shouldn't say that. I made Sacramento the favorite. They're on the road. Both those teams look identical in spelling. The same with Sacramento and San Antonio. And I'm always thinking I got San Antonio the favorite if it's a close game because I like them so much. But Sacramento's the better team. I have them 1.5, but they are playing back-to-back nights. So that's a little distress. And I didn't take anything off of that for Sacramento in that game. I'll have to look at that. Maybe I should. 234 is my total. Wow, big difference from the market. My total to the market number. That's going to be an over for me. So you have 2 unders today and over in the Spurs. And why do I like it over?
Because Wemby's going to have a huge game.
I hope he does. San Antonio's offense has been right around average, and Sacramento Kings have an above average offense. Over and under streaks, nothing there. Over and under for the year, both these teams 5-5. Any streaks to talk about? The Clippers 7-3 to the under this year. So that was that very first game.
Well, you can go ahead and you can go through the second half
stuff. Second half, anything that I see, the Brooklyn Nets are 6-2 in the second half of games this year, where the Pelicans are 1-7.
Wow.
And I like the Nets. So if they are down at half, don't be afraid to go bet them in the second half because they got a good chance to win that game. The Pelicans, 6-2 to the over in the second half this year, but without the firepower, skip that. That doesn't work. Washington Wizards, 2-6 in the second half. Their opponent, the Rockets, 6-1. This could be a game the Rockets trail early and then jump on them in game or at halftime or the second half for the second half of the Rockets. I think that's a team to look at. The other two games, no real edge either way. The best cover team playing today is the Cavaliers, 9-2, and the Brooklyn Nets are actually 8-2 this year, covering spread. So Jordi Fernandez may have made the wrong decision to go up tempo early, but he's coaching some good basketball for that type of spread record. So that gives me more confidence on my Nets play today. Again, I'm still, even though I went 6-0 yesterday, they were all 1% bets. I'm still betting 1% on my NBA bets today.
So are we still good? You still like the Kings and the Spurs over? I do like when the books opened this higher, and now the bettors have brought it down to 221.
Yeah, small move to the under. So to make sure there's no injuries. Malik Monk is out for Sacramento. I didn't really have anything off the line there. And Trey Jones has been out for San Antonio already. No injuries in this game. San Antonio has got their scorer. Sacramento has their scorer. So I like the way I'm adjusting these numbers. I think it should be higher. I'm playing it over.
Very good. I'm going to check in with the chat quickly before we go to college basketball. If you want to get your sheet out and maybe see if there's any games you want to jump to. Don't forget, you do have to find your dog of the day.
Yes.
For Frank Nicotero as well.
Well, it might be, you mentioned there's not a lot of marquee games on the board, but I love rivalries, and I look St. Peter's playing Rutgers tonight.
Okay.
They're only an hour apart. And St. Peter's has always been well coached. Bashir Mason, in his second year there, I think doing a nice job. I only made the game 13.5, 126, and it's 17 and 131. So I'm leaning to the dog, and I like the under.
Taking that 17 points there.
Leaning to it. I haven't bet it yet because this opened 15.5 and was bet up to 17.5.
Shout out to you with your Rutgers football this weekend, because I was nervous to take the points against Minnesota. They've been very good covering the spreads, and Rutgers wins outright without one of their best running backs. So
almost turned out to be a really good weekend. If I don't know how UAB doesn't hang on.
Oh my God.
They allow 21 points in the fourth, and I think it was a 48-yard or 45-yard touchdown was the last one that Connecticut got. So in a one-point game, not sure if they decided to just let Connecticut score, but I would doubt it at that field position. I would doubt it, but they looked like they were an easy cover, and then all of a sudden they're not.
Yes, that one was pretty heartbreaking. Yeah, my weekend was a little bit all over the place. Vince in the chat, JR, Keith, thank you for giving us those favorites that did cover as well. Vicarious Vegas is back. Dean Hilt, good morning. Jim D. Dean Hilt gave me a little shout out because I did go 2-0 on my Sportsbook Wire best bets. Pittsburgh Steelers were one of them, and then Ole Miss was the other. So that was good. You won't believe it either, because 2-5 in Circa Invitational.
At least you were 2-5 though.
Ooh, Utah and Utah State, that over, that was a lucky cover as well. It could have just been a push with Utah State, Washington State. But yeah, at least I was. But of course, the RJ, 5-0. How?
Again.
How did that happen? Yes. And how did those not make it onto the other tickets?
Wow. That's pretty amazing. Your RJ record is tremendous.
Well, 14-1 in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can keep that up.
I guess that's not bad.
Yeah. We'll do our best. Jerry's in here as well. Sin City. I hope I got everybody in there, but no real overreactions. Vicarious Vegas also did a team teaser with the Niners and the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Steelers. So that was a good one for him. But yeah, so college basketball, that's it. You have that one dog. Anything else that jumped out to you or that you want to cover before we go to hockey? And before we take a break, we got a lot of college football stuff.
There's so many college basketball games. I think that I can definitely point out a couple of others that would look like plays to me. I'm going to check down the numbers. Yale plays Purdue. Got a high number on both these teams. Yale's a very high-scoring team. Both coaches have been there forever. Yale can score and doesn't really stop anybody. I made this 12.5 and 161. It was 148, bet down to 145.5. I don't like it. The market went against me, but I have such a big difference. Another one, Missouri, Kansas City, and Iowa State. Marvin Menzies versus TJ Otzelberger. And
Wow.
Otzelberger's teams have always played great defense. I have a low number on both these teams. So I'm under there, and that moved against me from 39 to 42. I'm still going to bet these, and it just depends on if I'm going to make it a 1% or 2% bet, because I will look them over now after the show. But college basketball this early in the season, I've had going in and betting the early line a lot of times, and I got the best of it, and I was the steam. It didn't help. So I just don't see that it could. Stetson plays Citadel in an extra board game. I have Stetson a 3-point favorite, and they're getting 3 now. The line really moved. It jumped from Stetson, the favorite. Circa thought they should have been favored as well, but it's 3 on Citadel. I just don't see that being that big a difference. Donnie Jones does a really nice job at Stetson, so I'm taking the 3 there, going under 147. That could be my dog of the day, too. I'll take a look at that.
And then in hockey, there are just 6 games on the board. I do just want to bring up the Carolina Hurricanes playing in Vegas. They are coming off a loss to Colorado. Look at this new graphic we got here for our hockey bets. Starting or number 1 goalie, Frederick Anderson, is out right now for the Canes, so they will have their backup in net. VGK, I believe it is Aiden Hill, because their backup is injured right now. So I like the Knights right at home, plus 115 against the Canes.
I do as well, too. Carolina, I feel like, is really overrated by the market. I did not have this team, seeing that team being that good at the beginning of the year.
Every year,
Same team?
Same team. They end
Charlotte? Carolina? Carolina's been...
last year, too. I mean, their numbers, they were just favored by so much, and then they would win, and then, you're trying to adjust your number up a little bit, but... Well,
they are 10-3. They did get off to a 10-3 start. I plus 20 in their goal differential, too.
Yeah. Last year, they were really, really good, shorthanded, and on the power kill and power play, they're the best team there. If we can put up a graphic here, this is my top 10 of hockey right now to start the season. And we got early hockey. We just had a game start here.
Oh, yeah, you did. Montreal and Buffalo just started. The puck just dropped in Buffalo. I like the way Buffalo's playing, but, man, 208 favorite.
Yes.
210 here at the South Point, total 6.5 under.
I do agree with that being a higher scoring game. So maybe if we don't get any goals in that first period, we can jump in at a better number. Dallas going to Pittsburgh, San Jose, and the Flyers. That's a pretty ugly game there. Flyers are minus 280 at home. Kings and the Flames, Nashville and Colorado. That's a good matchup here. Colorado minus 145. They are starting to get healthy. Nashville did have a big win over the weekend. That total 6.5. I don't even know if that is high enough between those two. So quickly, top 10 right now. The Rangers just moved up to number 1, but they do have one of the best goalies in the league. New York Rangers and Florida Panthers are neck and neck right there at 1 and 2. Very close, Edmonton Oilers and Winnipeg Jets. The Jets are off to a historic start here with Hellebuck in net. Carolina Hurricanes with that Anderson news and them not having the starting goalie, so that is added into that number, them moving down to 5. Stars and Toronto Maple Leafs right there. I believe they are tied at 6. And then the Devils and Golden Knights right there, tied at 8. And then Tampa Bay Lightning coming in at number 10. So as I mentioned last week too, it's weird not seeing the Boston Bruins in there, but they are still figuring some things out as well. But
all good hockey teams. And you do have the Carolina Hurricanes 5th and the Golden Knights tied for 8th. So you have them the better team right now. I don't, injury wise again.
But just so this is based off of how they play. Okay, that's going to sound weird.
How they're playing right now.
How they're playing right now, current form. But it's also more with their road.
Right. Well, that's I've told you that if I'm ranking teams, we give a home and away, because these teams do in hockey play so much different, that you have to rank them how well they play on the road.
And the Knights
have struggled on the road.
Yes.
That's a good
point. So
point.
their home rating is higher than their road rating right now.
Yeah.
And they are at home in this one against the Canes, but should be a good game. I mean, they're both very good teams. Okay, but that's it for hockey for now, and that's a great graphic. I love that NHL in the background. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, all college football. We'll give you our top 10, and we'll give you the updated pace of play numbers and the run percentage. Don't go anywhere. Sports by the Book. We'll be right back.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
The Book live from the South Point studio. Kenny White to my left. I'm Alex White. We're going to dive into some college football, looking ahead to week 12 already. Just finished week 11. So let's take a look at some of these numbers. We're going to start off with run percentage. And these are the teams that are running the football the most of all the FBS schools. And of course, no service academies on here. So starting off at number 1, who has been sitting there all season long.
Average run percentage is 54% in college football. UNLV 67% run. And it was a reason I thought they may cover against Hawaii this past weekend because of the run game for them. And it was windy there, very windy. So I can't wait to talk to Steve Cofield because I asked him to let me know. I'll talk to him today or tomorrow and find out from him if wind affected play there, because that's a small stadium.
Yes.
They moved out of the Hula Bowl, which sat 60,000 because I said Hula Bowl and then the alarms went off. I'll never say that again. It's like, don't say it 3 times fast. So we've got an announcement here at the South Point. The team, the Hula Bowl is in such bad shape. They're going to have to demolish it and probably rebuild. So the new stadium is on campus. It's their old practice field, and it sits 15,000. It's a glorified high school field. Bishop Gorman has a better stadium right now than what Hawaii's playing at. So, that's an advantage sometimes, because when you're a road team like UNLV coming in and you play Allegiant Stadium and then you go there, it's like kind of a letdown playing at a stadium like that. Maybe that's what happened, but it's always a tough travel, and that is always difficult. But I thought UNLV would be able to really run the ball at 67th most in the city.
That's a shout out to Hawaii, though, who have been playing very competitive football right now. And that game and the Boise State game against Nevada, those were 2 tight games. So we need those 2 to continue to do well, hoping one of them gets into the college playoffs.
Jacksonville State, number 2, 66%. probably percentage points ahead of Tulane at 66%. Both those teams been very good spread cover football teams. Louisiana Monroe, 66%. They did get blown out this weekend, but they've had a good ATS record this year. Boston College, we knew at the beginning of the year that's what their game plan would be, run the football. Liberty, 64%. I did play Liberty this weekend, buying low on a team that was supposed to run the table and be maybe have a chance of the national championship playoff, but I'm glad they didn't because I didn't want to see them in there. They're a good program and a good story, but not a top 12 team.
Right.
They, in my numbers, projected run numbers were double their opponent, was like 250 to 120, one of the bigger differences, and they covered, and they love to run. Iowa run the football. Had UCLA this weekend.
Yes.
Another dog that covered. South Carolina is having a very good year, a good football team, and they played a really tough schedule. They continue to be able to run it. UCF. I don't remember. Did they beat Arizona State? I know they had the lead. I think they were up 10.
No, they did not.
Arizona State came back and won the football game.
Yes.
All right. That was a scary one. We had a play on UCF.
I need to double check that though.
35, Arizona State came back and won the game.
Yes.
And then Sam Houston State at 63%. They've got a really good running game. They run it well. And you mentioned one of those teams has not had a good year. Liberty has not had a good year covering spreads.
2-6.
They have really underachieved. Take them off. Everybody else is you're probably that's 60% spread cover.
Absolutely. You mentioned Tulane 8-2 on the year, Monroe 6-3, and then the next best one on there is South Carolina at 7-2.
And they played the toughest schedule in the country, one of the toughest. They've really played a tough schedule. They've done a nice job.
So, still, you are right. I mean, it is above 50% covering here with these teams. Let's take a look at the pass-heavy teams here. And there's one on here that really helps out their ATS number. And you said they were going to start to move off of this list, but I don't know if that is true. San Jose State comes in at number 1, passing 63% of the time. Rice, 62%, as well as Syracuse, 62%. Both of them are 4-5 covering the spread. Right here, LSU is just 3-6 against the spread, passing the ball 61% of the time. USC, disappointing year for the Trojans, but they have covered in 5 of their 9 games, throwing the ball 60% of the time as well. North Texas, we know they like to play fast. They are passing the ball a lot. Colorado, 58%. Hawaii, 58%. And then TCU and Maryland at the end there. But can you guess the team with the best ATS on this list?
San Jose State?
Nope.
Because they've had a good year.
It's a team you really like. You're rooting for to make it into the playoffs.
Oh, Colorado.
There it is.
Colorado, yeah. They've had a good year too. And I just thought about that. I did bet Mississippi at 35-1, and they come with a big win over Georgia. But I need to bet Colorado because they may beat BYU in that Big 12 championship game and end up getting a bye. Could you imagine that? Colorado and Dion in the Final Four, or the Final 8, actually it would be, but in that round.
So it's not those 4 get a guaranteed bye.
No?
No, there is a chance that another conference winner could have the bye if they are ranked higher at that time. So if Boise continues to win and runs the table, they might be ranked higher than Colorado.
Is it?
And if they win the Mountain West, they could get the bye.
But you have to be a conference.
Yes.
Conference, the championship game of the conference winner.
Yes. So it's most likely probably going to be those 4, the Power 4.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that's how that's set up. Let's say Alabama goes 12-0. We know they can't. I'm just making this up. So Alabama goes 12-0, and everybody else in the SEC beats themselves up. And Georgia comes in at 9-3, and they play in the championship game, and Georgia wins the championship game. Georgia gets the bye. That's what would happen. But Alabama, what it really counted over 12 games, they were the way better team, and just one game vaults that team up into the bye. So we're going to get a couple teams that get a bye that really don't deserve to be there.
But I mean, there will be adjustments made after this first year, kind of trial and error.
Oh yeah, and hopefully that's one. Because when you started talking about that, what I'm envisioning is just the 4 best teams. If Alabama and Georgia were both 12-0 and they played for the SEC championship game, both those teams deserve a bye no matter who wins that game. You can't put someone else above them. Now, we're not going to get that this year because those teams already have a loss, but I'm talking about in future seasons. If you get both those at 12-0, why are they not both getting a bye? They're two of the best teams in college football.
It'll be interesting. I mean, they don't even have right now. They have the same amount of SEC as Big Ten teams projected to be in, and I mean, I think there should probably be at least 5 of these SEC teams in it.
You know, and most of the times I don't really argue about stuff like this because I really don't care. All I care about is tell me who's playing so I can make a line on it to see what the sports book has. So if I have a difference, I can make a bet on it. And the one thing that I do need to care about a lot this year is right now, really looking at what teams need to do to get into that championship game, because it really is important to get into that game, to win it, to get that bye.
Well, Ole Miss, I mean, they were very motivated. And Georgia only has 1 loss. They only had 1 loss going into that game. If Ole Miss lost, they had 3.
Right.
And they had probably
would have been out.
Yeah, probably no chance. So they were ready to play against Georgia.
But again, Ole Miss and Georgia
should.
One of them may get in the SEC championship game and win, and then get the bye. But whoever the loser is of the SEC championship game is going to be a double-digit favorite against a Boise State or a BYU.
Yes.
On a neutral, if wherever that game is played. But so I just want to see the 12 best teams in it. I don't think we're going to get that. But again, when they had 4 teams, we didn't even get the 4 teams in it. That's why I think it should have went to 16, because then I'm okay with a couple of teams. Yeah. With 16 teams, I'm okay with BYU and Boise getting in.
Yes.
With 12, I'm really not. But again, I really don't care much about it. As long as I give me a matchup so I can make a betting line and bet the game. So,
well, this is a good segue. Let's see who your top 10 are right now. We'll go to that graphic. Before we get out of here, we will throw up the pace of play just if people want the updated numbers. But let's go to your top 10 and see where you are right now.
All right, let's go to number 10. Still. And I don't knock these teams. I don't have a knee-jerk reaction. I look over the box score and the numbers, but I've been saying for weeks this team was going to lose a game, and here they are, Miami of Florida. They lost this weekend and were beaten badly, but I still have not knocked their power rating. I still have them the 10th best team in college football, and that is their first loss.
Well, and they are averaging the most points per game. So they have one of the best offenses.
Yes, they do.
So it's hard to,
This will be a wake-up call. They'll improve from this. They'll find out why they lost, and they'll realize it was Mario Cristobal's fault. But then maybe they'll improve. But they still have a chance to have a bye because they're going to be in the ACC championship game against Clemson. And then the winner of that will move on. I have Clemson number 13. I have Miami 3.5 points better. Number 9, Notre Dame. They continue to play well. Defensively, they've been great all year, and their offense continues to get better. Tennessee, I have number 8. Again, I really like Josh Heupel and his team. Their quarterback Amanaga's a freshman, and that may lead into later on in the year that they may lose another game that's in a tough spot. Oregon and Penn State.
I thought there was a chance he might actually go for a touchdown at the end of that game to cover the spread, but he didn't. They just kneeled down. But I was hoping that they would. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Oregon and Penn State tied for 6th. Both still really solid football teams. Oregon's quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, I think he set the NCAA record.
He did.
74 touchdown passes, or maybe with 74 overall touchdowns. I would think it must be passing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's passing.
And he's probably got quite a few rushing as well.
And he beat Case Keenum was holding it, I believe.
I have Mississippi number 5. They were not in the college football playoff as of last week, but we'll find out the new one. Right. Tomorrow we'll talk about that, and I believe is it going to come out tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night.
Okay, so we'll talk about it on Wednesday. They should be in the top 12 now, finally. Georgia, even though Mississippi beat them, I still have Georgia number 4. This is a really talented team, and they're a half point better. So again, Georgia was a 2.5 point favorite this past weekend on the road at Mississippi. My line would be Mississippi 5 if they played in Mississippi this weekend. So people will say, how can you have Georgia rated higher than Mississippi? Well, if they played tomorrow, same spot where they just played, I'd have Mississippi 5. And the whole world, all the wise guys would bet Georgia +5. Everyone would jump on that. Alabama number 3. Finally, Jalen Milroe looked like Jalen Milroe.
Yes.
He finally used his legs to win a game. And when he does that, he's a dual threat. The last 3 weeks before that, he did not do that. And that team needed that game. I guess he didn't need to against Missouri. And he didn't need to maybe the week before that, but they knew he was going to need to be a dual threat against LSU. Texas, who, remember, I talked about this weeks ago when Georgia beat them. They were going to get better because they learned a lot from that loss, and their offensive line's going to get more physical. They're the second best team in the country, and Ohio State number 1, a 1.5 better than Texas. So if they played on a neutral, I'd have the Buckeyes 1.5 over the Longhorns.
I do want to bring this up really quick because JR is in the chat, and he was bringing up the Big Ten. If Ohio State beats Indiana and Michigan and Northwestern, and Oregon runs the table, the loser of the Big Ten title game doesn't get a bye. So that is very interesting. It's kind of like you're saying, you were using the SEC, but you actually can use the Big Ten as a better example because Oregon, undefeated right now, and then they'll probably face Ohio State. So then, the loser of that
played already.
Wow. Yes, who played already.
Yeah.
It's going to be a revenge game for the Buckeyes. And then Penn State will not be in the championship, and that'll be their bye. And
you're right. And that's a good point. I'm using SEC because it's the top conference. I've looked my number 2 through 5 are all SEC teams, and then you got Tennessee right there and LSU. So
yes,
6 out of the top 13 teams or top 12 teams. Top 11, 6 of the top 11 are SEC football teams, but the Big Ten has represented well with Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. And you have Indiana. I have number 17, who's undefeated.
Yes. Whew, they're right there.
And there you go. They just played a Michigan team who's very weak offense. I had the game under. That came out very nicely. I didn't bet the dog because I lost against Indiana the week before, and I talked about adjusting the spreads to the winning streak.
Yeah.
And if I adjusted the spread this past week, I did because the winning streak, it kept me off Michigan, which I was kicking myself when I saw the final score. Zigging and zagging the wrong way.
Well, yes, and we laid the points with Michigan against Michigan State. Then we jumped in to take the points with Michigan State, and that was the wrong team. It always should have been Michigan. So we're going to go to my top 10 quickly. I do have the same 3 as you. But then it does get a little bit, it does switch up there in the middle. And you may think I have Georgia a little too low, so we'll look at that and see. But number 10, Clemson, it's very close. With Tennessee, I have them right behind them at 11. Number 9, Miami, Florida, as we mentioned, best offense right now. Penn State at 8, I still think I might have them a little bit too low. They are very good defense. And then Georgia now at number 7. But remember, like you always say too, my 4 through 8, I mean, it's really just like a point, half a point, couple points between those two. Number 6, Notre Dame, playing very good football right now ever since their one loss. Number 5, Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, legit quarterback. I think they are covered both offensively and defensively. Very good football team. Number 4, Oregon, undefeated. Number 3, Bama moves back up to 3. Texas, 2, and 1, Ohio State. So it is interesting. Our top 3 evened out to being the same, but then I do have Georgia a little bit lower than you.
Looking at your list and thinking about mine, the team who I think, and I'm high on Texas, but Georgia went into Texas and beat them.
Yes.
And it will be a little different if they played again, but in this playoff, you really have to think about coaching. And most of these coaches are good coaches, but have not been with their team long. So Kalen DeBoer, first year with Alabama, that gets shaky. I think Dan Lanning's only 2 years at Oregon. Notre Dame's head coach Freeman, I believe just a couple years. But Georgia's got so much stability with their head coach.
Yes. And
they have the history. They're so talented that right now, looking at them, there might be value with them. I know Lane Kiffin, I think 3 years now, maybe 4 years in Mississippi.
Yeah.
in that range.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin's been there a while. I want to check
Dabo,
Lanning too.
Amazing. Dabo Sweeney, a guy that doesn't like the transfer portal, has his team in yours, 10th best team in college football. And they could be playing Miami. I'm going to take Dabo over Mario Cristobal every day of the week. So you might see Clemson as the team who's got a bye and needs to win 3 games and be a 6-1 shot to win it all. And who knows when you get upsets this year, when we get upsets and Alabama gets knocked out because DeBoer's first year with the team and Oregon gets knocked out and Ohio State gets knocked out because Ryan Day can't beat good teams. And all of a sudden you're seeing Clemson, facing off against Boise State in the national championship game.
Oh my gosh. You're going to have people very upset
or Boise,
thinking about that.
Clemson versus BYU in the first national championship game. I'm taking Clemson and Dabo Sweeney all day long because it's going to be a pick'em game, and I'm going to make Clemson about 8.
It's very, very interesting. I did want to bring up about Georgia, though.
Yeah, Georgia.
Carson Beck.
Yeah.
I don't know how many INTs he threw in that game, but he had thrown 8 in the 3 games leading up to that Ole Miss game. I don't know. There's something off with their offense and with their quarterback. And
that's you. Again, that's another, you can't predict turnovers. And when you're going to talk about Georgia, whoever they play, you're thinking they're going to win the turnover battle.
Right.
What about the Minnesota Vikings this past weekend?
Yes.
They were a big favorite over Jacksonville, and
Sam Darnold
threw 3, should have had 4. There was a penalty called on one of them that was, the play was overturned. So
Jared Goff with 5 interceptions yesterday. I might have heard
Goff threw 5?
Yes.
5? Oh my gosh.
They overcame 5 interceptions and beat the Texans, but I don't know what that does for his MVP.
There must be a reason.
Beck only had 1. Thank you,
Georgia.
Thank you, JR. He already checked. He had 1 interception.
Checked?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just I couldn't get to Georgia. I typed in Clemson, and then when I finally realized that what I was doing wrong, and I typed in Georgia, and I searched, Georgia Tech came up, and I hit Georgia Tech. So, that's only 1. You're right, but 9 in the last 4 games.
Yep.
You're playing the best competition in college football. 2 of those games were on the road. Actually. The Florida game was on a neutral, so he hasn't played a home game in 4 weeks. I'm sure if we looked at his home road splits, and I'll do that for you right now because I bet you there's a big difference. And I'm not sure.
No, he threw 3 at home against Florida.
I think that was the only bad game though. His home, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, not bad. On the road, 3 and 7. And I'm not sure what ESPN classifies that Georgia-Florida game as.
3 and 7?
Yeah, 3 touchdowns, 7 INTs on the road.
So second year full-time starter for Georgia, right? He's been with the program 4 years, but he only had 35 attempts 3 years ago.
Correct.
Last year, 417. Is there something, just kind of like we talk about with CJ Stroud and his sophomore year, he's no longer a rookie, had an outstanding year in the NFL last year. Now this year, defenses and coaches kind of know what to expect. Is there something with that with Carson Beck in this Georgia offense?
Those sophomore slumps sometimes happen because he worked so hard to get to be the starter and prove himself that when the next year comes, if you don't work as hard, everybody else is. And that's why that happens sometimes. So the greats work that hard every single year, and they put up amazing numbers. And that's, if I was an NFL team drafting a college quarterback, I would be worried about when guys drop. I want to see guys progress every year. It's the same thing as giving a college scholarship when you go look at somebody's grades or SAT scores, and more their grades. If you see improvement in their grades every year, you're able to give more scholarship money. So, because that person worked harder and got it. Same thing with stats. I like to see those guys getting better and better. Yards per pass, 9.5 last year for Carson Beck. This year, 7.8. So the yards per pass has gone down. The completion percentage has gone down from 72 to 65. And that's why Georgia's not number one on that board for either one of us.
Yeah.
If he had the same stats this year as he had last year, we'd be saying they're number one. But that doesn't mean he can't turn it around here the last 3 weeks of the season.
It is very interesting, too. I'm glad you pulled up the home road splits for him because
played some tough games on the road. Trying to make too much happen.
10:07. We're going to get out of here in just a few minutes. I do just want to pull up the pace of play quickly so just people have a heads up. Who is playing the slowest? Who is playing the fastest right now in college football? So we'll throw up this graphic. We'll start with the quickest pace of play, starting with South Florida again, East Carolina. We know those two. Utah State has been up there, and that is why they've been a great over team. Pittsburgh as well, 22.5. North Texas, 22.6 seconds per play. Mississippi State, Jacksonville State, Ole Miss is up there at 23.6. Baylor, 23.7, and San Jose State at 23.8. Baylor playing some good football now. Kind of switched it up since the bye week.
What a shock with North Texas. I thought that game, I think I made it 67 or something like that, and you get a 14-3 final. Army's defense held North Texas to 3. Maybe more shocking is North Texas held Army to 14.
That's
true.
I
just amazed me when I saw that score, and I thought, wow, I wonder if it was ridiculous bad weather, and the wind really did affect play there. It was windy. I just didn't see it being that big of a factor to keep scoring that low.
It's a shame you don't know anyone in Denton that could give you a nice weather.
Yeah, that's true. I do know someone there.
Yes. Okay, let's go to slowest pace of play.
Turtle. There we go. They're so slow, it takes time to get the graphic up. They're so slow, these teams. Army, number one, slowest team. And there you go. Well, there you go. That keeps you off the over, knowing Army's going to run it and play slow. But they're so efficient on offense. I still thought they could put up a big number. I was worried about Daly playing, so I didn't bet it over, but I thought it was going to be a very high-scoring game. Louisiana Monroe under, team 32.4 seconds. Vandy playing extremely slow. Tulane, 31.4. Oh, Diego Pavia suing the NCAA for another year of college, to play another year of college football. He's loving it so much at Vanderbilt. Houston, 31.2. They continue to get better, Houston. Yeah. UCLA, Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun Watson, Foster, thank you, really has improved the Bruins. They're playing better. Michigan playing slow. NC State, oh boy, they disappointed us this past weekend. Michigan State and NC State. We had a ticket in the last man standing in the college at stations down to the last 12. We were down to the last 12 and at NC State this weekend.
Oh, maybe we can't use the same team back-to-back weeks. We could use them more than once because
we had them. Yeah, we had them the week before that, and they did not disappoint.
No. It was against Stanford, it was against Stanford, the travel and everything. But I put them up there twice. That's how mad I was at them. I don't know what team is supposed to be there. So that's it for us for today. 10:10, a little bit over here. But tomorrow we will do the same thing.
No, today's 11:11.
Today is the 11:11. Tomorrow we'll do the same thing with NFL. We'll go through our top 10. We'll also give the pace of play and the run percentage.
Cool. Sounds good to me. And
thank you, everybody in the chat.
Be some jokes at noon today?
Jokes at noon, punchlines.
Oh,
12 o'clock.
Good.
Make sure you go over to Punchlines FN, different YouTube channel, and join us there at noon. I will be there with Frank Nicotero. 3 o'clock, back here, Sports by the Book with Ryan and Jeff to get you ready for Monday Night Football game. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, everybody in the chat. JR, giving us all the updates. Kiffin, 5th year at Ole Miss. So appreciate you all. See you again tomorrow. Same time, 9 a.m. here on Sports by the Book.